is that? It's wild stuff. He's a little bit of a loose cannon. Can't have both. Oh my God, the world hates us.
Do we have a chance in changing the narrative on social media?
You mean our enemies?
Yeah.
It's a good question. So I think one of the biggest misconceptions about that is most people believe we can never win that war because they outnumber us like 1,000 to 1, and I don't believe that at all. I don't think that's the reason we're losing at all. The reason we're losing is because, and people don't realize this, as a marketing professional, I can tell you that their propaganda war, their information war, nothing about it is coincidental. They have media kits. Like if you guys think that all eyes on Rafah just came to be, just popped up, and you're very mistaken. And if you think that those tents on, on academic, on campuses just came to be on October 8th, they all got the same tents with the same flags. Where did it come from? This is all well organized. If I was hiring a marketing agency to run my company, I'd hire them in a second. They're amazing. And what do we do? We're all over the place. We have no narrative, and whatever we do have is fragmented. So we're playing a different sport. And so if we continue like this, there's no way we're going to win. But if we get the brightest minds into a room, a figurative room, not and define our narrative, which I can tell you what I think it should be, but what it should not be is, oh my God, the world hates us. Like we sit there on Twitter, an X, yelling that the world hates us. Do you understand how, I'm sorry, idiotic that is to be yelling that the world hates us? You're yelling that the world hates us, and if you're right that the world hates us, no one's listening. No one cares. Oh my God, the New York Times title is so bad. Okay. And what is the benefit of yelling about that all day long? You want to know what I think the narrative should be?
Yofi, go.
All right. So I think the narrative, and this is going to piss off a lot of people because, people are used to the apologetic Jew. Right? We have to apologize. Stop apologizing. Again, forgive me for saying this.
Not only the apologetic Jew, but the quiet Jew doesn't want to have.
Right. Don't want to ruffle any feathers.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So let me just disclaimer before I tell you what my narrative should be. I'm not a supremacist. I don't think Jews are better than anyone else. Full stop. Like period, full stop. Jews are not better than anyone else. That being said, given our culture, given our focus on education, on family values, on so many things that the world has adopted, right? The weekend. Where do people know about the weekend? Where do people know it's immoral to murder? In ancient times, it wasn't immoral to murder. How do people know it's immoral to murder? Where did they learn that from? From the Bible, from the Old Testament, from the Jewish tradition, okay? So again, not that we're better at our DNA, but culturally, the fact of the matter is that there is no ancient Egypt, there is no ancient Rome, there is no ancient Greece, there is no ancient Soviet, there is no ancient not, they're all gone. And here we are, building a nation of innovators that are changing the world. Why is that? The answer is because we focus on what's right. And the Torah and Judaism as a system, not as a religion, as a system, preserves, the Jewish nation. And so our narrative, in my opinion, should be to own that light, right? There is no question that if you look at this objectively, the Jews have been nothing but a source of light in this world. Look how many Jews won Nobel Prizes. Look who's leading the world in cancer research. Look what we've done in this world. And so instead of apologizing, stand up and say, we are a source of light.
What advice do you have to give to the average guy who sees all of this interaction, that Jewish person who sees all this negative interaction? Should people engage? Should they stay away? What is your advice?
So first of all, I want to debunk an important lie, that's not the right word, misconception about social media, right? We've all heard this. What's the point of me posting on Facebook? I'm just speaking to my echo chamber. I have 4 followers, they're my friends. What's the point? Right? We've all heard that. So I'm here to tell you, just from a technical perspective, that's just not true. Technically speaking, that is just not true. Why? Because if I share something and it's written well and it's meaningful, and one of my 4 followers on Facebook or 4 friends on Facebook shares it to their friend, I just exited my echo chamber. I just accessed their audience. So, there are endless stories. I can tell you endless stories of a person who was completely anonymous, like had 4 followers, tweeted something and he wrote it well, and it went viral like that because one of the people that saw it was Oprah Winfrey. To give an example, right? So we all should use our platform. Some of us have bigger platforms, some of us smaller platforms, but you just simply don't know what will happen if you share the truth. You just don't know. And it's important that there's more truth being spread. So if you know and you have a knowledge, which you need to have, use your platform as small as you might think it is. You never know the impact you could have. And Ari's a perfect example of that. Ari's just a person. He used his phone and impacted millions of lives. So like each and every one of us has a platform, some bigger, some smaller, but don't think that you can't have an impact. If you have an opinion and you have knowledge, don't leave it in your head and in your heart. Share it.
What is the hope for Israel to become independent? Is there hope?
It's a good question.
Because it really pisses me off, to use your words, it pisses me off that Donald Trump is in office for such a short period of time, and all of a sudden the hostages start coming out. Why couldn't we do this on our own?
I don't know if you realize this. I'm sure many people watching this don't realize how deeply dysfunctional the Biden administration was. You can't make this stuff up. You literally could not make, if I came into a production company's office with what I'm about to tell you, and I told them this, they would say to me, come back with a realistic
hilarious.
script. There is no way.
It's hilarious.
Donald Trump's spokeslady, or whatever her title is, announced to the press that they found, and they stopped, the transfer of $50 million of American taxpayer money that was going to, sit down, condoms in Gaza.
Doge and OMB also found that there was about to be 50 million taxpayer dollars that went out the door to fund condoms in Gaza. That is a preposterous waste of taxpayer money.
$50 million of U.S. taxpayer money in the Biden administration was going to Gaza for condoms. Like, the Biden administration was so dysfunctional and so backwards, and that's why we see the disintegration of the moral fabric of Western civilization. I hope, Trump will reverse this, but, it's just, what he did in a week, the executive order, it's wild stuff. And again, I'm not saying that I'd marry Donald Trump or hire him to babysit my kids. He's a little bit of a loose cannon.
Right.
You could say he might be a narcissist. You could say a lot of things about him. What you can say is that he doesn't have good policy, especially as it pertains to Israel. He could not be any clearer. I don't know if you know that Netanyahu is the first leader to go to Washington to meet Trump, which is historic. It's pretty unbelievable.
Can Israel survive without them? United States?
Okay, so that's a question. This is I can't. To me, this is
Who
just,
needs who more? Do we need them or they need us?
So first of all, it's a mutually beneficial relationship, and anybody who says otherwise is just either ignorant or just lying. It is. America gets tons from Israel. It gets tons from America. It's not a one-way thing. That's number one. If you'd ask me personally, I'm not speaking as a, political science, graduate or whatever. I'm talking as Hillel Fuld. To me, we're in an abusive relationship with America. Now, again, I'm not talking about Trump. I'm talking about pre-Trump, right? Obama, Biden. We are in an abusive relationship. Sometimes they're nice. Sometimes they're not. Depends on their mood, right? We're going to withhold weapons. We're going to send weapons. Again, I'm very grateful for the good things that Biden did for us. He did a lot. But we were in an abusive relationship, and you got to get out of an abusive relationship, as hard as it is. You got to jump into the sea. It's hard. But God says to us, get in, jump. Now, what does that mean practically? To break up with America? Like, people don't realize this. Every one of those Iron Dome missiles is $100,000. Think about how many we fired in this war. It's tens of thousands, right? So that's a lot of money. So it's not so easy. It's very nice to say we need to break up with America. It's not so easy. Maybe it could be a gradual breakup. I don't know. But sustainably speaking, there's no way we can continue this relationship. And unless, again, Trump...
Or we could have a casual relationship.
Yeah. Friends with benefits.
Exactly.
But Trump can definitely, reverse this trend. And he's, if the first week in office is any indication, he is reversing it. And so I have a little bit of cautious optimism here, but we need to break up. Like, long term, we need to break up. We can't be dependent. It's not. By the way, it's not even a function of America. We cannot be dependent on a foreign government. It doesn't work.
Yeah, we can never be in a situation where they tell us don't go into Rafah. We'll withhold weapons if you go into Rafah. It's where our hostages are.
It's unbelievable.
That's crazy. It's not in our best interest.
Unbelievable. The fact that they told us not to go into Rafah, the fact that they told us not to go into Lebanon, it's unbelievable. It's truly and like you would think if Joe Biden had any integrity, once we went in and we discovered what was there, you would think he would get up and say, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I threw my allies under the bus. I should not have told you not to go into Rafah. I'm sorry. Not a word.
Well, we don't have the same interests.
That's true, but it's still, if we're your ally, you should not be telling us not to win a war. That's insanity, right?
But sometimes our interest is a conflict for them, because not only do they have to maintain peace with us, but they want to try to keep things right on a low flame with Iran and with the other places as well.
Yeah, but the level of hypocrisy, we didn't even talk about that, but the level of hypocrisy in this entire narrative is just, it's you either laugh or you cry. Like again, I don't know how much time, there's the list of things. You don't have to be a history expert. You don't have to know anything about the Middle East. You have to be a person who has logic of a 3-year-old. Someone explained to me, I mean this genuinely, I'm waiting for someone to explain this to me. How could it be that Gazans are starving and hostages are being fed well? Is there food in Gaza or is there not food in Gaza? You can't have both. You can't have both. Do you want globalized intifada or ceasefire now? You can't be the same person saying those two things. They're mutually exclusive. You can't have both, right? And the list of things, again, you don't have to know anything. Just look at their narrative. They contradict themselves constantly. It's endless, literally endless. From the river to the sea, which means erase Israel, and a 2-state solution. Which one is it? You can't have both, right? So you don't have to be a genius. You just have to look at their narrative objectively. You'll realize you don't have to disprove them. They disprove themselves all day, every day. Their entire narrative is one big lie, because that's how it started, with one big lie.